Your presentation is through a software demonstration as well as through a report. Now, the report has to be presented independent of a demonstration. The idea is, if you go to an interview, you present the report. Now, what you mean by a report is some document like this. Now, the person going through it is never going to look at your software. But browsing through this report, the person must have an idea about what was your problem, what you try to achieve, what are the features, functions of the system, and then the management, how would the management look at this is one aspect. How a technical person would look at this is another aspect. Now, for example, if this goes to IT manager, the IT manager may be interested, how can I use this system and expand it for my future use? Then that person will be interested to know what was your design, what to go into your design documentation, implementation code, and things like that. But the management at the interview, they are not interested in those aspects. But this document must have all those aspects. So, when you are evaluating, we are looking at all those aspects, whether you have presented. So, ultimately, whatever you have done, if you present it using the techniques you have learned, you will be able to get the required report. So, that is another skill. Now, the report writing is a skill we are not able to test it in the first 2 years. And so, that's one of the steps, harder steps for the candidates, because of not having prior experience, whereas some of the courses we do in face-to-face basis, we have these components inbuilt in some of the other courses, so that the project writing is not a big step as in this particular program. And the final skill we look at is the presentation itself. Now, you spend about 1 year's time in finding a project, implementing, and now you want to convince some unknown etc. examiners. Now, you are given a limited time. You are told 30 minutes, but out of the 30 minutes, 10 minutes of that for the examiners to ask questions. So, you have 15 to 20 minutes altogether to talk about what you have done. Now, to talk something you have done over 300 hours in 15-20 minutes is not that easy. You can give an overview, but then that has to impress the judges. So, which means you have to know to identify what are the important contributions or important aspects of your system, as well as to identify and give an overview of the entire solution. Because if you focus on one aspect and talk, then the examiner may think, okay, you have solved a small problem. But you must emphasize the complexity also in this same thing. So, being able to summarize the important aspects and being able to present is an important skill you have to develop. So, now if you do it for the first time by coming to the Viva, you are likely to not meet the requirement. You are supposed to practice. For example, you can present it to the supervisor, present it to the client, present it to a user.
That means they have to make sure that their project has the right scope.
Yeah, right. It is also the scope as well as managing the time and highlighting everybody's interest. Now, within this 20 minutes, actually, you have to do two key components. One is the presentation, one is the demonstration. So, demonstration is actual sequence of manipulating software. Presentation, you can use some PowerPoint slides and talk about it. But then, if you leave half, then maximum you will have 10 minutes to talk. So, in 10 minutes, if you try to talk everything, you can't achieve that. So, you need to talk to your target users and see was everybody happy with the same presentation. So if they ask some questions, then you know, okay, this would have been good to have it here. If somebody was not much interested in something, maybe this is something you could have removed it and expanded. And what we recommend is to have about maximum 5 slides. 2 to 3 slides you should be able to summarize, because talking or explaining a slide also takes 1 minute at least to explain a slide. So if you are talking something in 5 minutes, using 5 slides, you will find it difficult to finish it. So that is why important to see how to put everything in a summarized way.
Yeah, they have to organize their time to present the system and then demonstrate what they have presented.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And
Dr. Gyan, that this is the software project.
Yeah.
And they need to know a programming language to develop this project. And I think we offer some programming language in first 2 years. What about these BIS students are working in organization? What about if they want to, can they implement a system using their own language that they are familiar in the organization, or do they have to stick to the programming language that they learn in the first 2 years?
Yeah. Now, the choice of language and the flexibility is given to the candidate. Now, candidate may prefer to use sometimes a language what they have learned from the course, like Java or .NET, something which was covered in the course. But it is not essential to stick to that, because ultimately the system you are developing is to solve a problem of a person who is not related to the course. Now, if you develop a solution, now the client may want to use some environment which is compatible with whatever the other applications they use in their organization. Or sometimes the client may have heard that these new languages or technologies are available, we want to try out those. So you may be sometimes forced to go to an environment which is outside what you have learned from the course. There is no problem in doing that. The danger with it is to level to the level you are familiar with those development environments and the technologies. Now, for example, you may have learned Java, but you may have practiced in a Windows environment. But Java is a platform independent language. Now, client may tell, I want to use it maybe in as a web interface or some sort of a Linux environment, which means the same code or style of code you will be using, but there are differences when you try to configure and run in other environment. So those things, now you must get to know how to learn to adapt from one environment to another.
Yeah, right.
And now one of the training, essential important training from an IT degree is to be able to learn things on your own and to be able to go from one environment to another. So IT is something which changes rapidly. You get new technologies, new environments very frequently. And organizations, to survive, they are forced to change. For example, during our time, we were learning Fortran basic type of language. Now, nobody uses those languages. If I try to develop an application using Fortran or basic, there won't be anybody who wants to use that type of application. which means my system won't be recognized as a suitable application. So you need to select something that fits the current context and requirements, and you should be able to justify why you selected this instead of something else. For example, for a particular development and purpose, Java may be the best solution. Now you do it through .NET. Now it is maybe okay because both are currently used environments for development, but then you are not supposed to blindly use them.